Hey everybody.
Hello.
We have been talking about traveling a lot lately because we're stuck inside, probably like everybody else, because we're on like week 7 of quarantine here in LA.
9.
9?
9.
And we really want to go somewhere. So we were looking at our photos and things and realized we had a ton of New Zealand pictures and video that we've just never done anything with.
So many.
Yeah, and if you're like us, you try to cram in as much of your trip as you can on your vacation days. So it's like, we were working, we left, we came back, and we immediately went back to work.
And what happens to all of those photos and videos? They just sit on your hard drive.
And that's what's happened with all of ours. So we were like, let's go back through them and we'll make a video about it so that 1, we have something that we can go back and watch, and 2, you all can come with us and travel with us virtually while you're stuck at home.
And we'll give you some of our travel tips on how to survive an overseas trip.
If you ever get to go do that again.
One can only hope.
So our trip started with 3 flights. We took a small flight from Sacramento to LAX, and then took the longest flight, LAX to Auckland, which is still one of the longer flights you can take internationally.
15 hours.
Yeah, which we did our best to get sleep on the flight.
We always try to sleep on flights.
We do. We have methods.
We do have methods.
Ow! What are you doing? It would be better if you were unconscious.
And then we took a flight from Auckland, which is the largest city on either island, and it's on the North Island, and we took a flight from there to Christchurch, which is on the South Island, and that's where we picked up our rental car.
And that's where our journey on the islands truly began.
Yes.
Interesting fact, other than our flights and our rental car and our first hotel for the night, Ryan and I did not book anything else.
No, it was all open-ended. We knew we had 3 weeks.
And that was it. We had no itinerary, no other hotels booked. We just had a rental car and our return flight.
Yes, which no itinerary does not mean no planning.
Truth.
We had a giant list of everything we wanted to see and a rough route mapped out.
Yeah.
But we didn't know what the weather was going to be like. We didn't know what hotels were going to be like. We didn't know how crowded things were going to be.
And you never know, you might start talking to a local and they might tell you about a restaurant or a waterfall or a hidden beach or some sort of hike, and you're like, oh well, I have to be at this place at this time. But when you travel the way we do, you don't really have to worry about that.
We wanted to be able to go, that sounds cool, let's go there, which we did several times.
Several times.
Which was really cool.
Which was great.
So when we first got to the South Island in Christchurch at the airport, the first thing Sue did was get coffee.
Nobody does coffee like New Zealand does coffee. My favorite thing to get there is a flat white, somewhere between a latte and a cappuccino, and it is delicious.
And it was sprinkling when we got there.
Oh,
on
it
the
was
South
raining.
Island. Yeah. So we've got our rental car, and it was sometime late morning. Like, I think we got there and we got lunch at a burger place.
Burger fuel.
Which was really good.
Burger fuel. Do you remember those fries?
So good.
Yum.
And then we were like, we can't go to bed at noon.
Our goal was to stay up until 9 o'clock.
We got into the car and we were like, we have to find something to do to keep us occupied. And we looked up a couple of things. One of the things was a bird sanctuary in Christchurch, which Sue antagonized some of the local birds.
They started it. They started it.
And they finished it too.
It's true. I was walking on the designated properly graveled paths, and this bird the size of a chicken, it kept on chasing me.
Why is it chasing me?
I don't know why. It wouldn't chase Ryan. It wasn't chasing anybody else. It just kept chasing me.
And the next morning, when we got up, we woke up and it was
pouring
rain. And I didn't take any video or any pictures. I think partly because it was first day and we're still kind of like loopy. We just flew to another country. And on top of that, I think we were both kind of like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
What did we get ourselves into? We didn't have another hotel booked.
No.
All we had was our rental car and we had to be out of our hotel room. So we put all our stuff in. I remember I have this vivid memory of sitting in the parking lot on our phones trying to figure out what we're gonna do, and it's just pouring rain.
The whole reason that we stayed in Christchurch was because we wanted to hike out to this place called Mount Sunday, which is the filming location for Edoras in Lord of the Rings. And if you've seen the movie, you know it's a gorgeous location. So we're sitting in the car, it's pouring rain, and we're like, we're not even sure how to get there. We have a vague idea. Is it even worth it? And then we thought,
we flew all this way.
We're here.
We're exhausted. Let's just do it.
let's do it. If we get wet, I mean, come on, your skin gets wet and then you dry it off.
We had rain jackets, and we're like, if we soak through them, we'll go buy another one.
Yeah.
It's like, we're here.
Or we'll dry out the jackets that got soaked through.
We're here. We're doing this.
We're doing this.
And if we get out there and it's pouring rain, another story.
There you go.
So we looked it up on my phone, got directions, and we just went for it. About 45 minutes into our drive, the pavement just stops and it turns to a gravel road. The gravel roads in New Zealand are better than our paved roads here in LA. So it's like, gravel road, not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
And we're driving down this gravel road. And
Hoping that it's leading to where we want to go.
hoping it's going where we want to go. We're going down this gravel road and the rain starts to stop. It was kind of misty. It was just like this magical sort of overcast, misty, felt like Lord of the Rings type.
It just felt magical. And we stopped by this little, there was like a kind of a pond / swamp.
It was like
by
a little
the side of the
it
road.
was like a bog, and there were black swans swimming in it.
With little baby, what are they called? Cygnets?
No, that's Freud.
They were baby swans.
Little babies.
New Zealand does not really do foothills.
No.
It's like flatland, 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 mountain. Just
So cool. And so we're driving and driving. We passed a little tiny town. Remember that? There was like that town with like 10 little houses.
You go straight through it, like down into it and then out of it, and then you're pretty much
and
there.
then you're like and then you get to this valley that just kind of opens up. And the topography is glacial carved volcanic mountains. So it's flat like a glacier came through and carved it all, and mountains that shoot straight out of it. And Edoras, Mount Sunday, sits in the middle of this glacial carved valley. So you come down this hill and it's just, there it is. We finally got to the parking lot and we got out and there was not a single person out there.
Oh.
It was glorious.
And it was flooded.
It was flooded. Yeah.
We had to do some fording.
Yes. But it was really cool. There's like this little suspension bridge that went across.
One person at a time.
One person at a time. And it's like this cow pasture. And we were the only ones out there with the cows.
So worth it.
And this was my first day in a foreign country with my quadcopter. And I was like, perfect time to get it out. So I took a bunch of quadcopter footage.
rain started to pick up again, that's when people and tour buses started showing up, and we thought,
Perfect time to leave.
perfect time to leave.
Overall, totally worth it. We came back out, almost back to Christchurch, and then headed south towards Timaru.
Timaru.
T-Mobile gives us unlimited data in like 200 other countries. So over New Zealand, we had unlimited data. So as soon as we got cell service back, we started looking what's ahead and found a hotel for the night.
Picked a town, Timaru. Great.
And stayed at this hotel called the Grosvenor.
Yeah, that's how I would pronounce it. That way sounds like a hick, and then it's like, oh, that's how you, oh, okay. I was trying to be respectful and...
This hotel though was really cool. It's like it's like an older hotel, and it had an old English elevator in it.
Oh my gosh.
And it was the one where you have to slide the doors. They're all
He played
manual
with
doors.
it for so long.
So great. But it was one of those that it's like if somebody went down and left the door open, you couldn't call it on your floor. So you had to run all the way down, close the doors, run all the way back up, call the elevator, and then you could get in with your bag.
Which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
It was like being at Faulty Towers.
Yeah.
Timaru was just a stop
Yeah. It
On
was like
our
just
way.
a hotel spot.
further south. So we just picked a spot that was nearby, nearish.
On the way to our next stop.
We walked around the town and we found a little restaurant called Zest, which had been a church. And so it had like a little steeple, wood floors, and they had a fire burning in the fireplace. It was just
really cool.
It was very cozy.
And the next morning we continued south and went and found a steampunk headquarters.
In a town called, I don't know if it's Oamaru or Umaru.
Umaru.
It has a colony of blue penguins, which
Yes.
is why we stopped, because
We went and
our friend's daughter had been studying penguins at the time, so we stopped for her and discovered a lovely little town.
yeah, and they have like this old English like shopping center thing. It's like an old shipping and cannery lane. That was really neat to go
all
down.
old limestone buildings,
Yeah, it was
and
really
they had
neat.
been transformed into like woodworking shops and coffee shops and little boutiques and stuff, but they had kept the
Still
rail.
the planks down the middle with the old rail car
Yeah, it was
line.
neat.
It was really cool. And then we continued south even more.
Because our trajectory was going towards the Meraki boulders.
Meraki boulders,
which was
we,
on our list of...
It was on our list, and we didn't know how to pronounce it until after we had been there.
Yes. We kept on
Morakai
saying the
boulders.
Morakai boulders.
And the correct pronunciation is
Meraki.
Meraki boulders. So we went out and took pictures of those. Those are really interesting, like perfect, almost perfectly round stones that nobody knows how they were created.
And they're large. They're
They're
not
huge.
They're not little. They're like person
Like
size.
we took pictures of Sue inside of one.
inside of one that had cracked open.
So we made it to the Morakai boulders. It's super windy out here, so this audio might not even be audible. But we are currently in contention with another photographer who set up right in front of us, kind of gave us a smile, and then continued to do her thing. So we're just trying to wait out. But in the meantime, look at how cool these boulders are!
So we decided not to go to the touristy stuff and looked ahead farther south to the town of Meraki, and we found the absolute best fish and chips we have
Ever
ever
had.
anywhere in the world. Hands down.
It
Freshly caught blue cod, and the fishermen were sitting on the deck across from us.
On the deck. It was like me and Ryan, one guy in the bar, and then these like three salty old fishermen still in their boots and their, their whole salt sprayed kit. And they were just drinking beer.
And seagulls that would not let us eat in peace.
Oh my goodness. They were brazen.
Yeah.
It was very poetic. We had the view of the ocean and all of these little fishing boats, and
It was pretty great.
but it really was the best fish and chips. So good.
We went
Oh,
to
also,
Dunedin.
while we were on the beach, I found multiple shells
Oh yeah.
that were enormous and beautiful. And instead of taking them, I took a picture of me holding them and then I put them back down on the beach.
Which is how you should leave a place.
I think that's a great idea.
The next place we went was farther south.
Dunedin.
Dunedin. Which again, another place we found out how to pronounce partway through. It's spelled Dunedin, D-U-N-E-D-I-N.
Yeah.
And we found out from locals it's called Dunedin.
It's a Scottish. It has Scottish heritage,
Oh, interesting.
which makes sense. We decided to not be, like, I personally don't like to stick out as tourist, but at the same time, it's like I want to learn about the area. So I just started being brave enough to ask people how to pronounce things, and
We stayed in Dunedin, didn't we?
we did. It was a lovely hotel.
Yeah, and we found that train station. Mm-hmm. Dunedin had a really cool train station to go stop by, which we asked the hotel manager.
Yeah, he got out a map and was circling points of
That's
interest.
another thing. Another tip: if you're a tourist, don't try to pretend like you're not. If you have somebody who's friendly and a local, like we literally went into a gas station. We're just like, "Oh, we don't know what's around here. What's something we could see?" They're always excited that you're here in their little town and you want to spend money and you want to go see what they think is interesting.
Yeah.
And so we did. We asked people and we got some great recommendations. People love showing you their town.
Especially in New Zealand, they are so friendly. They're so friendly over there.
But we found out about the botanical gardens and we went and looked, and one of the recurring themes in all the botanical gardens we went and looked at was Peter Pan.
Peter Pan. Like
Yeah.
scroll hedges and fountains and a glass
And-
greenhouse. It was beautiful.
And rivers winding through things and pathways going up hillsides.
We stopped by and we were like, well, what the heck, let's just take a look. And then we ended up spending like an hour or two there.
Yeah, the botanical gardens in New Zealand, wherever you see a sign for them, go look at them. After our stay over in Dunedin, we headed south again, almost to the bottom of the South Island. We were getting close, but that was when we crossed a bridge, and that was like our first look at New Zealand freshwater. And we kept going south, because that was the theme of this part of the
We'd
trip.
go south until we started going north.
Until you can't go south anymore. And down near the bottom of the eastern side of the South Island is a place called Nugget Point. Nugget Point Lighthouse. That was a cool stopover point too. I took a lot of pictures out there. The path going out there was really, really cool. So once you get to Nugget Point, if you're kind of at the southernmost part, you have to start cutting west along the bottom part of the southern island. And as we were going on our phones, we just saw, hey, there's waterfalls.
Yeah.
I don't remember what they're called. One was started with a P. Day 3.
Dunedin, Signal Hill, Botanical, Purakanui.
Purakanui.
Tip number whatever. I brought this little pocket notebook. This one's by Moleskine. And at the end of every single day, I wrote where we had started, where we ended up, and just kind of like the highlights of what we had done that day.
Where we ate.
What was great, points of interest throughout the day. And I can't tell you how many times we've referred back to this. I don't think we would remember half as much as the trip.
So we drove off the main highway onto these little gravel roads.
Yeah.
And it's really neat because a lot of these like super lush, jungly type environments you go walking through. Like,
So pretty. Ferns and indigenous flora. well kept.
Yeah. All the trails were really well kept.
And because we went there in kind of like the end of winter, kind of beginning of spring, it still rained a lot, but that meant we had a lot of trails to ourselves. And we actually really like rainy weather, so.
That got us back onto the main road, and we drove the main road for a little while. And one of the things about being on an island is you forget that everything is beachfront.
The beach is not far away.
It's not. So we came out over this hill. It was like a sheep pasture.
Oh man.
And it went and looked out over this completely untouched beach. Not a single footprint in the sand. And I took a picture, a big panorama that was like
New Zealand in a day?
New Zealand in a day. It's sunny broken clouds over the water, turquoise water, pristine beach, trees, hills, rain.
Because there was rain coming in on us.
Yes, and we drove into that rain on another backcountry or like gravel road
To go to
McLean Falls.
McLean Falls.
Which that was a little, that took you out of the way a little bit, but it let you go out of the way and then supposedly come back and connect to the main road farther east, which is where we wanted to go. So we went for it.
We went for it. Why not? We're here. You get to this beautiful waterfall, and it's actually not McLean Falls. That's the chute. If you hike up a slightly less well-maintained path, which I remember to be a little bit slippery, a little bit muddy, a little bit dangerous, and it kind of goes up and curves over, you end up at the actual McLean Falls, which is just...
And that's where we were sitting, and I had gotten all my camera gear out, and it started pouring on us.
Now we're at McLean Falls,
And it's raining.
and it's raining.
A lot. Oh, it's lighting up.
And we're having a blast, even though it's raining. Like, we love it. It's fantastic, and we're prepared. And this is what we got to hike to.
I might go take pictures now.
And that's the thing about adventuring is you never know what you're gonna get. But like if we had just stopped at the chute, I mean, it would have been pretty, but you know, you see this little path over here on the side and you're like, oh, I wonder
We
what's
would
up there.
have missed everything.
Let's just go up there and see what's up there. And it was the actual McLean Falls. And that was a pretty cram jam packed day. Nugget Point, 2 waterfalls, and then we headed for the barn.
We headed for Invercargill.
Invercargill, where we were met with an unpleasant surprise. And we'll tell you about that.
Yeah, we'll get to that next time.
Next time. Because you've been looking at our travel slides for quite a while now.
Yeah, we'll let you go for a while. But you have to come back next time.
You have to come back and watch the rest of our slides.
Yeah. So be sure to subscribe to our channel, turn the bell notification on, like this video, because then we'll make more stuff and you can come back and watch more of this.
Yeah, and if you have any questions about traveling in New Zealand, or if maybe we mispronounced something and you want to let us know,
tell us in the comments. Now's a good time. We have nothing better to do but read your comments. So,
yay.
cool. So we'll see you guys next time.
All right.
Bye.